They say distance makes the heart grow fonder, but what if distance is silently destroying the very love you're trying so hard to protect? What if the same relationship that makes you smile when their name lights up your phone is the same relationship that is quietly breaking you down inside? Tell me this, have you ever stayed up late waiting for a reply that never came? Have you ever ended a video call, closed your laptop, and suddenly felt emptier than before you started the call? Have you ever asked yourself, if love is supposed to make me feel secure, why do I feel so uncertain? This is the side no one dares to speak about, the side backed by psychology, research, and the painful truths people discover too late. And today, I am exposing it, dark side of long-distance relationships. Point 1. The illusion of emotional closeness hides dangerous emotional gaps. Every text, every good morning message, every late night call feels like proof that your relationship is strong. You tell yourself, we talk every day, so we're closer than ever. But let me ask you, does constant communication always mean true connection? Is a heart emoji really the same as holding someone's hand? Psychology says no. Research on attachment shows humans are wired for presence, touch, eye contact, and shared physical space. These moments release oxytocin, the hormone that builds love and trust. Without it, your brain begins to struggle, even if your heart is still loyal. That is why, after a long video call, you sometimes feel emptier instead of fulfilled. It is not weakness. It is biology reminding you that digital intimacy is not real intimacy. And here is the danger. That emptiness doesn't just stay quiet. It grows. It turns into doubt. Do they love me as much as I love them? Do they miss me the way I miss them? These questions haunt you because deep down, your emotional needs are not being fully met. Now think about conflict. When was the last time you and your partner had a serious disagreement? Did you resolve it? Did you avoid it because fighting over the phone felt unbearable? Research shows long-distance couples often sugarcoat or postpone hard conversations, but silence doesn't solve problems. It buries them alive, and buried problems resurface stronger than before. Here lies the brutal paradox. You can love someone deeply, talk to them every day, and still feel emotionally abandoned. You can believe you're building closeness, while distance is secretly building walls between you. So ask yourself honestly, you in love with the person, or with the illusion that your screens are enough? Because one will sustain you, and the other will starve you slowly. But here is the power. The moment you recognize this illusion, you stop lying to yourself. You stop pretending calls and texts can carry all the weight of love. And that awareness is the first weapon you need to fight the real enemy, distance itself. Point 2. Long distance breeds fantasy over reality when you're far apart. Something strange happens. Two stop dating the real person, and you start dating the version of them your mind creates. Every text becomes a puzzle to decode. Every "I am busy" message feels like a mystery to solve. Have you ever caught yourself imagining what they re's doing, who they re's with, or what they really meant by that short reply? That is not love speaking. That is your brain filling in the gaps that distance leaves empty. Psychology calls this idealization. Studies show that in long-distance relationships, people often paint a perfect picture of their partner because they don't see them every day. You focus on their best traits, you amplify the good memories, and you overlook flaws. But here's the danger. When fantasy replaces reality, disappointment becomes inevitable. Think about it. When you finally reunite, small differences suddenly feel huge. Their habits, tone, or even the way they handle stress can feel unfamiliar because in your head, they were flawless. And when reality doesn't match the fantasy, frustration and confusion take over. Have you ever been shocked at how different they seemed in person compared to how you imagined them? That is the fantasy crashing into reality. Worse, this idealization makes you blind to red flags. Maybe they cancel calls often. Maybe they were emotionally distant. But instead of confronting it, you explain it away. They're tired. They're busy. They didn't mean it. You defend the fantasy because losing it feels scarier than facing the truth. But deep down, you know reality doesn't lie. Is the silent trap of long distance. You're not only fighting the miles between you, you're fighting the illusions your own mind creates. And if you treat not careful, you find yourself in love with an idea, not the actual person. So ask yourself, you holding on to who they really are or who you hope they are? Because one will keep you grounded and the other will shatter you the moment reality arrives. The silent erosion of trust is more common than betrayal itself. When people think of long-distance relationships, they fear one thing the most: cheating. But here's the truth. Betrayal isn't always about another person. Most long-distance relationships don't collapse because of infidelity. They collapse because trust slowly crumbles in silence. Think about it. Have you ever waited hours for a reply and started imagining the worst? Have you ever felt a knot in your stomach because they didn't pick up your call? That's not evidence of betrayal. It's evidence of uncertainty. And uncertainty over time is more corrosive than any single act of cheating. Psychologists explain this through the concept of attachment anxiety. When you can't see your partner, when you can't read their body language or sense their mood, your mind starts filling in blanks with fear. Why didn't they reply? Why are they online but not texting me? Why do they sound distracted? These little doubts begin as whispers, but the more distance stretches them, the louder they become. And here's the danger. Trust rarely breaks with a bang. It erodes with a drip. One unanswered call. One vague excuse. One small lie told to keep the peace. Over weeks and months, that drip carves cracks into your foundation. Before you realize it, you're no longer in love. You're in constant investigation mode. You're checking online status, rereading messages, testing loyalty without even saying it out loud. But here's the paradox. The more you try to control and monitor, the faster the trust decays. Instead of protecting your relationship, suspicion suffocates it. Have you noticed how accusations and doubt make even the innocent pull away? That's how love dies without a single act of betrayal. It dies under the weight of fear and mistrust. So ask yourself honestly, do you truly trust your partner, or are you surviving on temporary reassurances? Because reassurance fades, but real trust holds even in silence. And until you face that question, distance won't just test your love, it will dismantle it piece by piece. Point 4. Physical absence rewires your brain's bonding patterns. Love isn't just an emotion, it's biology. Every hug, every kiss, every moment of physical closeness creates chemical changes in your brain. Oxytocin, dopamine, serotonin. These are the neurochemicals that bond two people together. They don't just make you feel good, they literally wire your brain to associate safety and comfort with the person you love. But what happens when that physical presence is taken away for months, even years? Your brain doesn't just pause the process. It adapts. And not in the way you hope. Neuroscience shows that when touch is missing, the brain begins to seek other sources of comfort. Maybe it's work. Maybe it's friends. Maybe it's distractions that slowly become habits. Have you ever noticed yourself needing more reassurance than usual, or feeling restless even after a long call? That's not weakness. It's your brain struggling to fill a void biology designed only physical closeness to satisfy. And here's the brutal truth. Over time, your bonding pathways can weaken. You may still love your partner deeply, but the instinctive connection, the one fueled by touch and presence, fades. That's why reunions in long-distance relationships can feel both magical and awkward. You're thrilled to see each other, yet it takes time to sync because your brain has been rewired to survive without them. Even worse, prolonged absence increases vulnerability to outside attachment, not always in the form of infidelity, but in subtle ways. You may lean on a friend for emotional support, or feel comfort in new environments, without realizing your brain is creating new anchors. Have you ever caught yourself sharing things with someone else that you used to only tell your partner?
That's the rewiring at work. This is the silent danger of long distance. It doesn't just test your loyalty, it tests your biology. And if you ignore this, you'll wake up one day realizing your heart still loves them, but your brain no longer depends on them. So ask yourself, are you actively protecting the bond or passively letting distance rewire it away? Because love isn't just in your heart. It's in your chemistry. And chemistry doesn't wait forever.